Here's the truth nobody wants to say, but I will. I want to begin this video with a confession. When my marriage ended, I wasn't afraid of being single. I wasn't even afraid of being heartbroken. Do you know what terrified me? I had nowhere to go. No home to run back to, no wealthy parents to move in with, no financial safety net waiting for me. There was just me and God. And I remember thinking, if I don't rebuild my life, no one is coming to rebuild it for me. That moment changed the way I see money forever, because I realized something. Women don't pursue wealth because they love money. We pursue wealth because we long to feel safe. And I think that's where social media has completely misunderstood women. We're told, find a rich man, level up, be feminine. Men don't care if you don't have money. But after coaching thousands of women, after dating very successful men, after sitting with wealthy couples behind closed doors, I've realized something. Healthy men aren't refusing to commit to broke women because they're greedy. They're refusing because they're looking for something much deeper. And when I say broke, please hear me. I'm not talking about your salary. I'm talking about your capacity. By the end of this video, I don't think you'll look at money or relationships the same way ever again. I think one of the most dangerous messages women are hearing today is this: a man doesn't care whether you have money. There is a tiny grain of truth in that. Healthy masculine men are not sitting around asking, how much does she earn? But here's what they are asking. Can she build? Can she steward? Can she survive? Can she create? And can she multiply what enters her hands? Because here's what I've noticed. The men are screaming the loudest that they don't want a woman with money are very often the men who also don't want her to have options. Now, before anyone gets offended, I'm not saying every traditional man is controlling. Absolutely not. Some couples thrive with one provider and one homemaker, and I love it. I love it. But there is a difference between provision and dependency. Being provided for is beautiful. Being dependent is dangerous. Those are not the same thing. A healthy man wants to bless your life. A controlling man wants to become your life. There's a world of difference. Men don't marry income. They marry capacity. Can I tell you something my father once told me? In his generation, men wanted to marry nurses, not because nurses were glamorous, not because they earned millions, because they were employable, stable, reliable. If life happened, she could hold the family together. That fascinated me because even decades ago, men weren't simply choosing beauty, they were choosing capacity. Years later, I dated a very successful man. One day he said something I will never forget. He looked at me and said, "There is no way I would marry a woman who has nothing." Not because he wanted her money, because if life happened, he wanted somebody standing beside him, not somebody standing behind him. Healthy men don't marry wallets. Neither do they marry dependents. They marry builders. Every family needs two adults. One of my old bosses lost almost everything. Payroll, cash flow, the business was collapsing. Do you know who carried them? His wife. Not forever, just long enough for him to rebuild. That story has never left me because that is partnership. Nobody plans for cancer. Nobody plans for redundancy. Nobody plans for businesses collapsing. Nobody plans for pandemics. But healthy men think about those things. They're asking, if I fall, who catches the family? This isn't romantic, it's responsible. I once coached a wife of an incredibly wealthy Hollywood celebrity. From outside, she had everything: the homes, the cars, the holidays, the lifestyle. But privately, she couldn't leave. Why? Because he had the money, the lawyers, the influence. When she tried, he told her, I will bury you in court. You will lose everything. You'll lose the children. I spent over 2 years helping save that marriage. Not because I believe women should stay in abusive situations, because she genuinely believed she had no way out. And that's when I realized money isn't luxury. It isn't leverage. Money is options. Money is safety. Some women have parents they can run home to, a spare bedroom, financial help, a family waiting to catch them. I didn't. When my marriage ended, there was nowhere to go, no safety net, only God and me. And that's why I work. That's why I build. Not because I worship money, because I know what it feels like to have nowhere safe to fall. Some women inherit a safety net. Others have to build one. Neither is shameful. Pretending you don't need one is. Money doesn't change character. It reveals it. One thing I've learned building businesses is that money teaches respect. When you've made payroll, when you're worried about cash flow, when you've built 6 figures, you understand sacrifice differently. You respect provision differently. You stop asking, why won't he spend on me? And you start asking, how can we steward what we've built? Money doesn't make women masculine. Fear does. Money simply magnifies whatever was already there. If having money makes you controlling, that was never about money. It was about the wounds you gave money permission to hide. Ladies, I don't want you to build wealth because you're trying to impress men. I don't even want you to build wealth because you want designer handbags. I want you to build wealth because one day life may ask you to carry your family, your children, your husband, or even yourself. And I want you to know you can, because here's what I've discovered. The greatest wealth isn't sitting in your bank account. The greatest wealth is becoming the kind of woman who knows, if I lost everything tomorrow, I could rebuild it again. That's wealth. That's freedom. That's feminine. Because contrary to what you've been taught, the feminine doesn't find her security outside of herself. She cultivates it within. The masculine often creates wealth by conquering. The feminine creates wealth by cultivating. Cultivating wisdom, stewardship, peace, resourcefulness, character, vision. Everything you build on the outside will eventually grow from what you've cultivated on the inside. That's why I've spent the last year building something that I believe every woman deserves. It's called Her Wealth Within. Because after coaching thousands of women, I've realized something. The wealth you've been searching for was never outside of you. It's within you. Not just your ability to earn, your ability to create, to rebuild, to multiply, to steward, to rise again. If that speaks to your heart, join the waitlist. The link is in my bio. I would love to walk that journey with you. The woman we've spoken about today, the woman who's building her own life, her own peace, her own security, will often meet a very different kind of man. Not the man who wants to rescue her, but the man who's deciding whether he's ready to build with her. And strangely, that's often the moment he pulls away. Not because he's losing feelings, but because commitment is becoming real. If you've ever been confused by that, watch this video next. I think it will completely change the way you interpret a man's silence. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in my next one. In the meantime, take care of you. Love you lots.